Okay, good afternoon. So this afternoon, I just wanted to do a follow-up video to my video this morning where I let you guys know that I was asked to go to HR and speak on a situation that happened in my office recently. So I did that today. I thought it was going to be really quick. I mean, what all could we talk about? Yeah, so I went. I'm just looking for my bottle of water. I went over there. The meeting was at 10, and it's in another building, so I had to, walk over. So I left a little bit earlier to make sure I was on time. So I got there, and their building is nicer than ours. It's like nicer. Anyway, so lady was expecting me, like the receptionist or whatever, and she escorted me to the boardroom. It was like a Donald Trump, what was that show that he had back in the day? Like, You're Fired, I forget the name of that show he had. Anyway, we were in the boardroom. So she put me in the boardroom. I was in there, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. And then the director of HR came in with another lady. And I don't know. She introduced her, but she didn't give me her title or anything. She just gave me her name, And so they, I forget kind of how the conversation started, because it didn't, I just, went into, well, let me just tell you what happened. But it kind of they didn't even, I honestly, I forgot how it started, but it didn't start with, well, let's start from the beginning. It didn't start there. It kind of started a little different with a couple of different questions. So anyway, I said, why don't I just tell you what happened from the beginning? And they were like, okay, that's fine. I guess they were being very sensitive to me, and if I was comfortable talking about this and all of that. So, I let them know I'm fine. So, we started talking about it, and I took them to the beginning of the whole incident. And I'll give you a quick update in case you haven't, but please watch the video prior to this, which is the video about the incident that happened at work and the reason why I had to go to HR. So real quick, a couple of weeks ago, a coworker and myself, my coworker was at my desk, and we were talking about something, and then my coworker and I were talking, and then a gentleman from upstairs, the director of a department from upstairs, came. He kind of like poked his head in the door, which he does on a regular kind of, and it was like he had some business to do with the woman I was talking to, and I called her in the last video. I referred to her as Mary. So, and I referred to him as Bob. So I'm just going to keep those names. So I'm talking to Mary. Bob pops his head in and says, hey. And Bob starts talking to Mary about an event that we have coming up in the next couple of days or week or so. And Mary does a lot of presentations. So she was presenting at this event. And this was Bob's event. He was hosting it, basically. And so he wanted to know if she knew the setup for the event. And Mary said, no, I don't know the setup. And so Bob just kept saying, come on, of course you know the setup. You don't remember the setup? And she just kept saying, no, I don't remember. And, you know, and I'm still, I'm not listening, because again, they're having this whole conversation, but I'm there, so I'm listening, you know. And so the part that went left is when Bob says to Mary, I'm sorry, I just went somewhere else just now. He says to Mary, come on, you remember, excuse me. He says, come on, you remember the setup. He says, come on, we're around the same age. And he starts laughing. And Mary wasn't laughing. Neither was I. But I did want to slide underneath my desk, because I knew Mary was going to be upset with that comment. And so she was, and she told him she was. And she even went as far as saying something about reporting him. And so, and that was the incident, period. And so because I was there and I was a witness to it, I was asked to speak to HR regarding the incident. So, like I said, I basically gave them my version of it, which I just gave you. That's what happened. It was an innocent thing, and then he said what he said about her age and about them being the same age. And it was almost, and I shared this with it was two ladies. I think I already said that it was two ladies that were there in the room today. It was as if he was giving her a compliment by saying, come on, we're not that old. You're around my age. We're not that old. And clearly she did not take that as a compliment. She took it as an insult for him to even imply that she was around his age. And also in front of another person, I think that added to it. It was a level of embarrassment. And it just was inappropriate all the way around. You know, no matter what I feel about Mary, because we've had our situations as well. No matter what I feel about her, no matter what I feel about Bob, what he said was inappropriate. And, you know, no matter who heard it, how many people were around, it was inappropriate. So I just shared that with them. I tried to stick to the facts of what happened. But I felt like they were drilling me. They wanted to know more. And so the one question they asked, well, does Bob often poke his head in your office? And so I said, yeah. He comes in the office. And she's like, really? Tell us more. And I'm like, he comes in the office and grabs flyers. And so the HR lady was kind of confused, like what, like why would he come into your office and grab flyers? And so I tried to clean it up and explain that our offices are connected. And And so we print out a lot of flyers for our customers, you know, to have, and we use our color printer. And so when we start running low on the budget and, you know, our funding is low, we don't have a lot of extra color copies to print out and to have him take to a vending event or a job fair or something. I mean, it's great that he's trying to promote our office, but we need our copies for ourselves. He has a color printer of his own. So they were kind of like intrigued with that whole thing, and they were just asking me more and more questions about Bob. And so is that net inside or out? You know, so there were moments there where I was like, oh Lord, I'm going too deep. I'm too deep in this, you know. But, you know, it was true. It was all true. And they were both taking notes. Like, they had a whole page of notes by the time we were done. And I would say the whole appointment lasted, again, they were probably about 5 minutes late coming into the meeting. So we ended at 10:30. So it was about 25 minutes long. And I thought it would be about 5 minutes. Like, what else could they ask me? But then they started asking me a lot more questions about Bob and his character. And, you know, and one thing I shared with them is that the thing about what happened is that it's not like it happened and then Mary said, that's offensive, because she did, you know, when she said that. And it's not like Bob was like, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way. You know, there was none of that. It was a complete, he started laughing. He just started laughing at the whole thing. And I told him, I said, I don't know if that was a nervous laugh, or I don't know if that was just a laugh. Either way, it just seemed inappropriate, you know? And so, I just shared all of it, like my feelings on it. And, you know, at one point I did feel like it was the three women, the two of them and me, because you know, with the other person was a woman, so it was three women and myself, kind of, I don't want to say ganging up on Bob, because he's a character. First of all, he's a character, and I don't want to add anything extra to it. I wanted to give the facts of, this is what happened. This is the God's honest truth of what happened. He said what he said. She told him she was offended by it, and she may have even said, I could report you. Not that I am, but I could report you. This is inappropriate, you know. And he just kind of still laughed it off. There was no apology that I heard. There was nothing, no level of, you know, oh, I didn't realize that, you know, you took it that way. Nothing. And so that was that. So then I, you know, went back over to my office. But I was like, wow, they really drilled me, you know, to get deeper into what my thoughts were about the situation. And then at the end, I thought this was interesting, and it was cool. They asked me, how did I feel after that situation? Like, was I okay? Did I feel any kind of way about I guess, like, wow, I work for a company that don't care that people can go around and talk to you any kind of way, and not just any kind of way, but say things about your age, and like, so they asked me how did I feel, and I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I was fine that day after that happened. I just, I took note, okay, that happened, but I didn't, it was not in any way did I internalize it for myself or anything for myself. It was just, that's what happened on that day regarding two people that I know and I work with. And that was that. Do I think he's going to get fired from that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think he's just going to get a talking to, and he's going to get some kind of talking to regarding that was inappropriate. And we don't do that here. That kind of thing. But he ain't getting fired. Which, in my opinion, quite frankly, I just feel like unless I believe somebody could potentially get fired from something, I'm not going to HR. I'm not going through all of that. Have witnesses involved and whatnot. And, good well, they're not going to fire this man. Like, nothing for nothing, but this is America, and they're not firing him. And I'm not getting all into any kind of like racial thing. I mean, Bob is a Caucasian male and Mary is a Caucasian female. And like I said in the last video, and again, watch that video because this video will make more sense. But Mary said the exact same thing to me, or she kind of insinuated my age, that me and her were close in age, which we are not, a few months back. And I didn't go to HR because, again, unless I believe you did something that warrants you being fired, I'm not going to HR. No, I'm not going to HR. So, what are they doing? So, yeah, so that's what happened today with me going to HR. Anyway, have a great day. What are these trucks here for? My car is really going to be dirty now if it wasn't already. Have a great day, and don't forget to like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. God bless.